Ambition without action. Carl Jung's chilling warning for you. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so powerful that you woke up and swore you'd change your life, but then you didn't? You felt it. The fire. The ambition. That electrifying potential surging through your veins. But somehow, by sunset, it faded. The dream dissolved into the same routine, the same scrolling, the same quiet resignation. Carl Jung had a chilling warning for this exact moment in your life. That ambition without action begins to rot the soul. In the next few minutes, we're going to go deep into the unconscious, into the murky waters of your potential, and into the terrifying reality of what happens when you ignore the call to become who you really are. Jung didn't see ambition as a bad thing. He saw it as sacred. But he also saw what happens when we idolize our goals and never embody them. When we worship the idea of who we could be, but fear the cost of becoming it. And if you're watching this right now, there's a reason. Something inside you knows you're playing smaller than you were born to. Something inside you is impatient with your delays. This is not a motivational video. This is a spiritual intervention. Most people think the opposite of ambition is laziness. But Jung would argue that the opposite of ambition is fear, specifically the fear of knowing who you really are. Because to act on your ambition means you have to confront your shadow. You have to leave the comfort of mediocrity. You have to risk failure, embarrassment, and transformation. That's why most people settle for fantasizing instead of doing. It's safer to imagine writing a book and to sit down and face the blank page. It's easier to dream of starting a company than to face the chaos of building one. We are addicted to potential because potential is perfect. It hasn't been tested yet. It hasn't been scarred by reality.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But here's Jung's warning. If you do not act on your ambition, it will turn against you. It will haunt you. It will become a ghost in your psyche, whispering what could have been. Jung wrote, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." That includes the unlived life, the self you were meant to become, the path you keep avoiding. Every time you suppress it, it doesn't disappear. It festers. It leaks out in envy, in bitterness, in the quiet misery of scrolling through other people's lives, wondering why you're still stuck. So let me ask you something raw. Are you living your ambition, or are you addicted to the high of imagining it? We live in a culture that rewards the appearance of ambition more than the reality of it. The right profile picture, the aesthetically curated goals, the vision board that looks more like a Pinterest page than a plan. But Jung didn't care about appearances. He wanted you to become whole. And wholeness doesn't come from dreaming. It comes from integrating, from taking the part of you that dreams and welding it to the part of you that does. That's what Jung meant by individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are. Not the person your parents expected, not the version your friends admire, the real you, the one hiding behind your unstarted projects and abandoned goals. And here's where this gets terrifying. The more potential you have, the more dangerous it is to leave it unused. Because unused power doesn't just sit still, it turns inward. It becomes self-loathing, regret, imposter syndrome. You start feeling like a fraud, not because you are one, but because your actions no longer match your vision. Jung believed that this dissonance, the gap between who we are and who we pretend to be, is the root of neurosis. He said the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And one of the most overlooked forms of self-rejection is ignoring your ambition because you think you're not ready. Let's pause here and ask the question no one wants to ask. What are you postponing that keeps calling your name? What vision have you buried under someday? And are you really waiting for the right time? Or are you avoiding the storm of transformation? Because make no mistake, acting on your ambition will cost you your current identity. It will demand change. It will disrupt your comfort. It will expose your insecurities. But that's exactly the point. Jung didn't believe in avoiding struggle. He believed in confronting it, because the struggle is the forge, the fire that burns away illusion. the path that leads not just to success, but to integration. We are all haunted by unlived lives. Every person you envy, every success story that triggers you is a mirror, not of what you lack, but of what you've refused to activate. Jung would say that these outer projections are signals from the unconscious, your psyche's way of saying, this too is you. But you haven't owned it yet. That's why ambition without action is so dangerous. It creates a psychic split. You become two versions of yourself, the dreamer and the doer. And the wider the gap between those two, the more suffering you feel. Not because life is cruel, but because your soul is trying to wake you up. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man who dreams of being a filmmaker. Every day he watches cinema, follows directors, imagines scenes, but he never writes, never shoots, never edits. On the surface, he's inspired, but underneath, a slow decay begins. He becomes cynical. He criticizes other films more harshly. He starts to believe the industry is rigged. His ambition, once a light, becomes a shadow. And the scariest part, he still calls himself a filmmaker. In his identity, he is, but in his actions, he isn't. That split, that's the Jungian fracture, and it's happening to millions of people right now. So how do we heal it? How do we bridge the gap between ambition and action? Jung would say, start where you are. Start small, but start. Stop waiting for your confidence to catch up. Stop waiting for clarity. Action creates clarity. Movement creates confidence. And the act of doing, even badly, is 1,000 times more powerful than the perfection of planning. You are not here to perfect your potential. You are here to express it, even if it's messy, especially if it's messy, because in the mess, you meet the parts of yourself that are real. Let me ask you a question that could change your life. If you died tomorrow, would the world even know what you were capable of? Would you? Or did you bury your gifts under fear, procrastination, and perfectionism? Jung's warning is not don't dream. It's don't only dream. Because a dream unacted is a betrayal of the self. And the deeper the dream, the deeper the betrayal. You don't need more ambition. You need more courage. Courage to be bad at first. Courage to look foolish. Courage to risk being seen. Because only when you act, when you embody what you've imagined, do you step into your full self. And that's the Jungian payoff. You don't just get results. You get integration. You become someone who no longer lives in fragments, someone who no longer escapes into fantasy, someone who no longer fears the unknown because you are the unknown made visible through your action. And once you taste that alignment, when your deepest inner call meets your outer life, you'll never go back. Because you'll realize that ambition is not a goal, it's a direction, a compass, and action is the only way to follow it. The shadow of the unlived life. How denied potential becomes self-destruction. Carl Jung knew something most people don't want to admit. Transformation is not a surface-level renovation. It's a death and rebirth. When you finally decide to act on your ambition, you're not just starting a project or changing a job. You're confronting the version of yourself that's been in control for years, the version that survived, adapted, and coped. That self will resist. Because even if it's miserable, it's familiar. It knows how to navigate your current life. But the future version of you, the one who acts, who builds, who speaks, who becomes, is a stranger. And letting that version take over means letting go of your old identity. That's the alchemy Jung spoke of, turning the lead of who you were into the gold of who you could be. And that alchemy is messy. It doesn't happen in a straight line. You'll lose friends. You'll face criticism. You'll doubt yourself. You'll start something and want to quit 1,000 times. But each time you choose to act anyway, you realign the inner and outer worlds. You stop being someone who only thinks about change and become someone who embodies it. And that's when something magical happens. Your life begins to reflect your inner fire. People sense it. Opportunities shift. The world responds differently because you're no longer broadcasting hesitation. You're living with intention. You're no longer split between thought and action, between potential and reality. But Jung also warned that this is precisely when the ego tries to reclaim control. It will tempt you with shortcuts, with praise, with distractions. Why? Because the ego fears irrelevance. It wants to be the hero of your story, not the servant of your soul. That's why you'll feel fear not just at the beginning, but especially when things start to work. Because now the stakes are higher. Now you're visible. Now your ambition is no longer a private fantasy, it's public, vulnerable, real. This is the point where many people retreat. They sabotage. They burn it all down. Not because they're weak, but because they haven't yet realized that the ego must serve the vision, not run it. So how do we stay grounded in action? Jung would say, ritual. Not in the religious sense, but in the symbolic. Turn your ambition into daily practice. Don't wait for motivation, build rhythm. Create a sacred space around your work, your art, your path. Write even when it's terrible. Show up even when you're tired. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. Because every act of embodied ambition is a signal to your unconscious. I am becoming. And the unconscious will respond, not with applause, but with alignment. You'll begin to notice synchronicities, moments that feel too perfect to be random, doors opening, people appearing, not because the universe is suddenly kind, but because you're finally in sync with your purpose. And now, here's the final twist, the part most people miss. Ambition is not about achieving something. It's about revealing something. You don't chase your dreams to become someone new. You chase them to remember who you already are. Jung believed that every human being carries within them a seed, a blueprint of the self they were meant to become. But that seed only grows when watered by action, not theory, not talk. Action. When you act in alignment with your deepest calling, you don't just change your life. You shift the collective, because a fully alive human being is contagious. They awaken others without even trying. So if you've been waiting for permission, for clarity, for certainty, this is it. Not from me, but from the part of you that already knows. It's time to stop dreaming and start becoming. Carl Jung wasn't interested in surface-level improvement. He was obsessed with the full transformation of the self. He knew that becoming the person you were meant to be wasn't just a matter of setting goals or changing habits. It required a total reorientation of your inner world. And part of that reorientation means confronting a truth that's almost too painful to say out loud. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to push you, remind you, or build your dreams for you. And the longer you wait for external validation or the perfect conditions, the more your inner fire dims. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards courage. The courage to begin, the courage to fail, and the courage to keep moving anyway. When we act on our ambition, we don't just create things, we uncover things. Hidden strengths, unused talents, untapped resilience. Jung believed that every act of creativity, every risk taken in alignment with your deeper self, brings you closer to individuation. That's not just a fancy psychological term. Individuation is your soul's blueprint unfolding in real time. It's the process of becoming a whole human being, not a copy, not a projection, but you. And here's the paradox. You can't think your way into it. You must live it. You must walk through fear, through failure, through discomfort, and in doing so, you discover that your ambition wasn't a fantasy. It was a map, a GPS from the unconscious, guiding you toward your real life. But here's what Jung also knew. The path of action is lonely, because most people live in the fantasy. They talk about change, but their lives are ruled by habit. They admire ambition in others, but they never embody it themselves. And when you start to break that cycle, when you begin to move, you'll feel resistance not just from within, but from the world around you. People may not understand. They might mock, minimize, or try to bring you back down to earth. But that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're waking up. You're disturbing the status quo. And when you do that, you become a mirror for others, showing them who they could be. And sometimes, they're not ready to see that. So the real question isn't, can I do this? It's, am I willing to become someone I haven't met yet? Because that's what ambition demands. It pulls you toward the edge of everything you know and asks, will you leap? Not because it's safe, not because it's easy, but because your soul will wither if you don't. Jung believed the greatest tragedy wasn't failure, it was inner death. And every time you ignore the call to action, a part of you dies just a little. But every time you move, even slightly, toward the vision that haunts you, something comes alive, something unseen, something eternal. So let this be your moment, not of hype, but of honesty. Name the thing you've buried, write it down, speak it aloud, then take one step, just one. Because the longer you wait, the heavier it becomes. And the sooner you move, the clearer everything will get. Jung's chilling warning wasn't meant to scare you. It was meant to wake you up, to shake you out of the dream and into the life that's already waiting for you. The unlived life will not wait forever, and neither should you, because the world doesn't just need more dreamers. It needs more doers, people brave enough to turn ambition into action and action into truth.